identification.
Let's go.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. Tonight we are interviewing Heather. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about your channel and who you are and what you do.
Okay.
Putting you on the spot.
Right. So I'm Heather at Milk and Honey Heritage Farms, and I have a small farmish homestead, whatever you want to call it, where I raise Irish Dexter cows, honeybees. I have an orchard, gardens. I do cooking and sewing and building things, and I don't know, lots of stuff.
Keep them busy.
Yeah. I'm always doing lots of stuff.
Yeah. What made you come to YouTube?
So I had never been on YouTube before until late 2019, and I did some research on trying to find out what was going on in the world. And I came across several different channels, including yours, that I started watching, and my kids kept telling me, "Oh, you should have a YouTube channel." And I'm like, "I don't know what that is. What's that? I don't know. Whatever, you know."
Yeah.
And then for a long time, I just was like somebody that went on people's channels, and I was too nervous and afraid to start my channel. And then I thought, oh, everybody's already doing this, that, and the other thing. Nobody's going to watch it. And then I thought, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want nobody to see me, because I was the one who took pictures and videos of everybody else, not me. And so that was something to get over, and it, like, I'm not shy. I can talk to anybody anywhere. No problem. I don't get shy about that. But there's something about recording yourself and having whoever out there hearing you and looking at you is like a little different.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. It's almost second once you've done it for a while, it's almost second nature.
Right. And so I ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, sometimes you'll be in that video mode where you'll be doing something and you'll start talking and there's nobody there, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not doing a video."
Oh yeah, I just recorded all this stuff and it's not recording. That's happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah. I did a lot of stuttering my first several videos, and my first video, I sent it to Jan because I thought Jan would be honest. I didn't really know Jan too much, just from other chats. And I'm like, "Could you please be honest?" And she's like, "Girl, you did good. Just put yourself on there and do it." So I did do a lot of stuttering and like backtracking and repeating myself and pausing, like a lot more than normal. So, but
Yeah, that's probably one of the bad things about YouTube is what they call the dead air. It's like when you're building something or doing something and you shut up and you don't say anything. That's like one of the big no-nos. But
right.
I think that's mainly for the younger generation and stuff, because they lose interest so quickly.
Right.
Us older people, we'll just sit there and watch anyway to see what you're doing. Mm-hmm. There's a YouTuber. It's there's two of them that do the same thing, and they build old bushcraft things and stuff like that, and it's they don't talk. All you hear is them building and stuff. And I find that so relaxing. And toward the end, they'll start talking at the end about what they're doing and stuff. And I
Yeah,
think
we were
that's just so
watching,
relaxing.
right? Me and my husband were watching some guy last winter that was like some other country, and it was getting ready to snow, and he just went out with like a little hatchet and a couple small tools and built himself a little thing. Like, and you just watched him build the stove and
Yeah.
doing his food, and it was kind of cool though to watch the skills.
Yeah. No music in the background, just you hear them banging and making noise and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's totally like the opposite of what they say. You can't have no silence in a video, but yet
Right.
they get millions of views doing that. So
Yeah. I know it's weird to me because I would think for me, like if you're going on, say, a bike ride somewhere and you're going for the whole video on this bike ride sightseeing, sometimes I might want you to stop talking so I can hear the birds and stuff,
mhm,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
So I know because I've seen you on multiple lives and stuff, and you talk about you hardly go to the grocery store.
Mhm.
Why is it that you only go to the grocery store just like once or twice a month?
Because so my the store that we go I live in a small county and there's only a couple grocery stores and there's limited supply still of things and also pricing. So the store that we go to is closer for my husband to go to after work. So he stops once a week after work, and most of the stuff that he gets is like dairy and his lunch stuff.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes if I have like something that I need to make for like a collaboration or something, I will go to the store and get what I need.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we do a lot of preserving and canning and freeze drying and dehydrating and all that stuff. And we raise our own cattle, beef, cows. So yeah, so I don't need a whole lot of stuff. My list is very small. Um, so that's why.
Yeah. There was a movie that came out not too long ago, Homesteader. Um, I think it's on Angel TV or something like that. Well, it was in the movies too, but that
Oh, I
that
haven't
movie
seen that.
got me thinking a lot about because you know I deal with a lot of homesteaders and whatnot on YouTube here,
Yeah, yeah.
and um, one of the things that stuck to me a lot, and I've talked about this with Jeff quite a bit, is something like that happens. I'm not saying that war is going to come to the United States or something, because it could just
Right.
be power outage. The sun does a farts
Weather,
out or
something.
something. Yeah,
Mhm.
but um, you probably don't have neighbors like right next door, but um, say like on Homesteader, they had a gate there and people started lining up begging for food and stuff. Now the husband said no food or anything goes out of this place because we need it to survive. And the wife said yes, and she ended up.
I still need to see it, so I don't know.
Okay, I'm not going to go too much into it, but that's kind of the question here is if something happens to where there's no stores, or the government isn't going to give you your $700 for whatever,
Yeah.
and you start getting people coming to your house, knocking on your door, asking for food, do you turn them away, or do you give them
Um,
food?
so yeah, I've put a lot of thought into that. And so one of my main goals was to reduce going to the grocery store to begin with, to be able to have enough to feed my family. And, some of my children aren't living at home anymore because they're older, they're
Hmm.
off doing their own thing. But I plan on the children coming back and the grandchildren coming back. So I plan for that. Um, it's a difficult question to ask,
Hmm.
right? Um, but I think of a safety issue. So if I give you a cup of rice or a bag of rice, you're gonna be like, "Hey, she got the stuff,"
Hmm.
right? That could pose a threat, a danger to your home, what you're doing. So I wouldn't want to. And for people to come where I live would be weird.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. But if it was people that I knew from the area, it would be a little different. Like if I kind of knew them or whatever.
Yeah.
'Cause if it's a baby or a kid, I couldn't. I just, I'm bringing you in, you know. So I do have stuff for an infant just in case. I
Yeah.
know it sounds weird, but hi, Pepper 101, Grace.
Yeah. It's
Um, so,
it's kind of like a loaded question, because you could,
mhm.
I mean,
So
it's
I
one of those
think,
things to where you say, yes, I would give it to them. And then again, you could have 30 things bad from doing that.
mhm.
Or
What you could do is you could say, I really don't have anything. Say, I'll be right back. And you could go grab the bag of rice, pour all the rice out, and just leave like, a cup or something in there and say, this
Mhm.
is all I have left. I'm so sorry. This is it. We have nothing more. I mean, maybe they believe the bluff, but if
Yeah.
you're that person that can't say no, no, no,
Yeah.
you have to be careful of meeting people to other places for exchanges.
Yeah. It's even now, we have Facebook Market and stuff where
Yeah.
you hear about meeting somebody somewhere to sell something, and then they're not there anymore. Um, it's a lot to think about, because you're supposed to be able to help you know your neighbor and stuff,
Yeah.
but you don't know the consequences of one little action, and it could be either good or bad.
Yeah, they could be so sweet and so nice and thankful for what you do give them, but then they could be going back to somebody else and people can turn.
Hmm.
You could be Charles right now, and
Yeah.
then when that happens, Charles might be like a little greedy. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I was
And
in
that's the thing is, um there, I know there's people out there that still in the United States that have, they don't know when their next meal's coming and stuff. But there's a difference between not eating like 3 meals a day compared to not eating for days. When that fifth, sixth, seventh day comes around,
yeah.
um, you, people will change.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, you have to, like, if you have kids or even
yeah.
for your own self. I mean, there's that thing they say, hangry. Sometimes people get hangry,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Somebody mentioned about the Hurricane Milton and the power, how long it took. I was actually in Sarasota, Florida during Milton for my dad's funeral. And oh my gosh, I had never been through a hurricane before. And after the eye of the storm, I thought for sure I was going to die. I laid in the bed in the dark with my shoes on, and I felt so unprepared because all my stuff is here at my home. I couldn't bring like, like any hunting stuff or any survival type things that, I had
Mhm.
nothing but my clothes, you know, and
Yeah.
there was nothing in the home really. There was some food, but not much. And I was stranded there for a week and a half longer than I was supposed to be there because of no power.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're scary.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I hate to say it, but here in the United States, a lot of people are spoiled compared to,
Oh yeah. I did a lot of
20 years
walking
ago.
around in the neighborhood that I was in because I was so bored out of my mind. I had nothing I could do in a normal neighborhood with nothing, no gardening, no animals, no nothing. And so I walked a lot, walking, but none of the people in the neighborhood had anything. It was
Hmm.
just a day to day or week to week type
Yeah.
situation. I'm like, oh my gosh.
They go to the grocery store every day or every other day or
Yeah.
something like that. And
Yeah. I was like, wow, it's pretty sad.
and that's why when I used to live with my grandpa, it was like once a month we would go, and sometimes we would skip the month because we just had so much work to do.
Yeah,
Um,
my older kids kind of thought I was a little cuckoo for, putting things away and wanting to can and do all the things that I do,
yeah.
but now they're doing it. I get little messages from
Oh,
them every now and then.
that's
Mom, guess
good.
what? We just stocked up on food because they're paying attention. It doesn't hurt.
Hmm.
You're going to save money. Prices aren't going down. And if it's
No.
getting close to expiration where you don't want to eat it or you're scared to keep it any longer, donate it to people who need it.
Hmm. Even though you're not allowed to do that now. You go to a food pantry and we can't take outdated stuff.
Well, we have little things like little boxes in neighborhoods and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that. I mean, and the local gas stations will let you put like a box on their bench or whatever with extra apples or whatever
Oh,
it
okay.
is. Mhm.
Yeah, we have a couple of those here, but the one down the road, somebody just picked up and took home with them. I guess it just disappeared,
Yeah. Mhm.
which it's probably some kid playing around or something. But um, well, let's get back to your cows. Um, um, how many cows do you have?
Currently we have 15.
15.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, do you um, do you sell some of them, or do you keep them, or do you?
Yeah, so we have 4 mama cows that get bred every year because we have a bull. And so every year they get bred, and then we raise those babies for 2 years.
Okay.
And then we have waiting lists filled for next year already. And
Okay.
we haven't had them come for the ones this year yet.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask you. Do you sell? I was going to ask if you sell the cow, or do you sell the cow to be butchered?
It's a mobile guy who's very clean and neat.
Oh,
He comes
cool.
out and takes them back to his shop for curing, and then calls the customers for their cut and wrap.
Oh,
What
okay.
they like, how thick they want their steaks, or roasts or whatever like
Yeah,
that.
types of meat cuts and
Yeah.
stuff.
We usually only do like half or whole because
Yeah.
the cows are a lot smaller than like an Angus cow. And so you don't, like, if you get an Angus, you're going to have 2 freezers to put all that meat in there, right?
Oh yeah.
But Dexter cow, you can fit a whole cow in one stand-up freezer.
Yeah, I learned a lot about cows and stuff and the meat and all kinds of stuff from the summit last week. He went through so much stuff, and I was kind of mad because the rainstorm that came through, when the wind came through, it got everybody soaked. So everybody left. So we didn't get to listen to his whole speech.
But not you.
You
didn't.
Oh, I did too. Everybody was gone because it was.
Yeah, there's
bad.
a certain way. Like if you're gonna they're rheumatoid animals, which have multiple stomachs to digest their food, like a goat and other animals. And they also need to be having a buddy. They need to have 2 cows or more, because they will go look for their buddy because they like to be in their herd, you know. But there's also a way to look at like pigs and cows' legs from the back. Like if you're looking for like breeding or something, you're wanting to make sure certain things are. I have a book. I don't have it close to me, but that has a picture of what you look at. And when I was first I did a lot of research before we got our property on exactly what pigs, what cows, what everything that I wanted. And how I wanted the layout of the fencing to be done. I don't know. So I did all that mad with limited internet. Like it was not very good internet then. And, trying to go to the library, trying to do whatever research I could. But I wanted the Irish Dexter because they're smaller, more easy to manage. Like they're
timid.
They know their names. Well, like the mama cows and my bull know their names. The rest of them don't. But we keep them separated. Like the babies from last year are together, and the 2-year-olds are together, and certain mamas can't be with because we had 3 mama cows in together that were pregnant. And 1 mama cow had a baby. Well, this one cow, she's like trying to push around the new baby. So we had to move her out so she didn't hurt the little baby, which we are keeping because it's from my favorite cow. Lovely cow. I milk her. And she had a girl, which she never has had girls. And my son named her Blackberry. And then I have another mama cow that had a baby, and she's kind of red with a little white face, like a mini Hereford. The mama's mini Hereford of that other one, named her Strawberry. We're going to keep her as well. So she would be half Dexter because Dad's Dexter, and half Hereford. So 2 little babies.
Now, have you had any animals that you wouldn't want to have on the farm?
Yeah, peacocks. I don't know about that. There's one. Have you ever seen the movie Up with the little old man in the house and he floats it away with balloons? So there was this big giant, I don't know what kind of bird it was, and its name was Kevin.
Yeah.
It squawks, whatever. It sounds like a peacock. Well, there is a peacock somewhere where I live. I've never seen it, but you hear it. And everybody where I live who's heard it named it Kevin. Kevin.
Yeah. There was this video, and he had a peacock. Well, there's a couple videos like this, but this one, he had a peacock in his backyard, and no, he had a peacock and he had a parrot, and the peacock was screaming, and it sounded like a woman screaming. And the cops came up, and they were knocking on the door, and the parrot, nobody was home, and the parrot was talking to the cops. And they ended up breaking the door down, trying to find out the person in there.
Yeah.
And then it was just the birds.
Yeah. Why do we wait 2 years to butcher our cows? They are a smaller cow, and typically a lot of people do wait 2 years because they're kind of like at that teenage size when they're a year. So they're only like half the size that they would be if you would wait 2 years. So that's why. I hope that answered your question. You can wait longer if you want, but then, you're getting into more hay and, more animals that you have to keep rotating and stuff like that.
Now, do you give yours grain?
We give the mama cows sometimes in the winter. It gets really cold. We'll give them grain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some our cows are pretty good, but I'm good at watching their weight. Sometimes if it's really cold, rainy, you got to keep the weight on. Like Jersey cows, sometimes they're really hard to keep weight on because they're a really bony milk cow. And so you just got to kind of watch that and see what works,
Yeah, different breeds. And there are some breeds that they almost force feed that the grain to them. And you can tell the difference in the taste too.
Yeah. No, my cow's hanging weight is about 750 to 900 pounds. See, so my cows are half.
Yeah.
But for Dexter's, you get more meat on the bone because Angus have bigger bones. So there's a lot bigger, more bonage for an Angus cow. So you can look at it that way too.
Mm-hmm. How long have you had your bees?
6 years, I think.
6 years. Now, is that all the same from the same hive? Or have you had, times where the winter takes them out and stuff like that?
Yeah. So when we first started, we bought 3 nukes, which is it's like 5 frames full with bees and like a queen, and then you move them into the bigger box. We started out that way, but then for some reason, swarms, bees that leave from other people's, I don't know, the woods or other people's beehives, like to come to my orchard. And so I catch a lot of those.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. Have you ever, found a tree that had a beehive in it? And
yes. Oh my gosh. So we have a neighbor that's a logger, and he was logging a property a few miles from us. And he's like, there is a massive thing of bees, like honeybees, so many honeybees. So the tree fell, and you couldn't put your arms around it. It was so huge, and it cracked in half, and it was filled. And I tried, so it was so hard collecting those bees, and it was a hot day. It was like 80 degrees in my bee suit and just sweating. And I had to stand with my, I couldn't stand with my feet like this. I had to stand with my feet like that in between the log. And I couldn't lean on either side of the log because there's bees and honey everywhere. It was so cool. And the smell of the fresh wood, it was amazing. I did manage to get some of the bees, but I think the tree was rotted in the middle and had multiple huge clusters of bees, all through it. But that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was fun and hard, but it was fun.
Yeah. I've seen where, you have multiple beehives, and I've seen people go out and get them, and they'll be sitting there looking all over for that one bee in there, the
Yeah.
queen. And as
It's
soon as
hard.
they get that, they put it in there and then just let it set, and they all
in.
just transfer over. It's
Yeah,
the coolest thing to watch.
it is. It's really cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a couple questions here. Might as well start getting in here. Do you sell? If you do sell, is it local or mail? I don't know if that's
Um,
the beef or the honey.
probably the honey, because no, I'm not mailing no bees. I don't know if that would end well for me or anybody else. Sometimes, yes, I do sell honey. We don't get a whole lot of honey. I have sold to a few people through mail. We've sold a lot locally. We try to keep a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you go to this, and that's the thing is people go to the store and it's raw unfiltered honey, but by law they have to, just like milk, they have to pasteurize it, and
Beef. Yeah, no, we don't. No, we don't ship beef.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be expensive.
Yeah.
You have to be a big company to send beef out.
If you guys want to donate to buying lots of more land, maybe. I need about 100 acres.
And you're in Idaho, right?
Oregon.
Oregon. I keep thinking you're in Idaho. Yeah. Many moons ago, I lived in Phoenix, Oregon.
Okay.
Little bitty town.
Yeah.
And
I'm more closer to the Pacific coast.
Okay.
Or ocean.
Yeah. And I think Jeff had a question, and it kind of goes with, since you're in Oregon, the government stepped in too much with you. Okay, well, that's good.
No, luckily our county is American.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I don't know how to put that. So far, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer might have to put the questions in again.
Yeah.
Here. Did you build your house? If so, what was that experience like?
So when we were looking for land, we were looking, because we had small children, we were looking for the most amount of acres and within a certain radius of my husband's work. And we wanted a house where we didn't have to gut it because he didn't have time because of work.
Yeah.
And everything we found was shag carpeting in the house, and the floors were uneven and stuff like that, which, we're not opposed to, doing work. It's just, I can't do it by myself. And so the last option was to possibly build. So we used a company that does stick-built houses. And so we got to customize some of it, and we had to be out on the property and clean up debris, cut off pieces of lumber, nails, and we had to make sure the gravel driveway was in, and the guy for the septic was here, and we had to do a lot of extra side work. We paid people to insulate and sheetrock the garage, because I use the garage for canning. So it was a lot of work. The property had no fencing on it whatsoever, no trees. It had a pole barn with 2 lean-tos. So we also built 4 stalls on each side where the lean-tos were. because we had 4 horses as well when we first came.
Okay.
And then it had a shop that was just like a rotted shell of a shop with a decent roof. So we've had to put a new roof on it. We got new siding on one side of it. We still have to do more, but all the fencing. We've planted over 600 trees along the whole border of the property. We planted the orchard right away.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So a lot, dug water lines and stuff like that to put water to go to different areas and stuff like that. It already had a well, and it already had a small septic. So we had to add another septic for the house because the other one was too far, but it has pipe that runs to the other septic. So if the main house one gets full, it just goes on to the other one.
Oh, that's good.
That's nice. So so it had the power. It had the shell of what I call shop, and the pole barn, which was just a little square metal building with 2 lean-tos, and that's it. Like
a lot of people don't realize how much work it is to put fence. Just put fence in.
And repairing it. Like repairing it. The horses are the hardest on it because they put their necks over. Even if you have things to try to keep them off, they still do it, and they stomp on the bottom of it. The cows are less rough. Once in a while, they'll get to like scratching their head on it, and they have horns. So sometimes they kind of stretch it a little bit, but it's not as bad as the horse. We don't have horses now, though.
Yeah, because no matter that grass on the other side always looks better than the grass you're standing on.
Yeah.
Gail said, what's your favorite item to freeze dry?
Well, I haven't done like lots of different things yet. I'm still kind of experimenting. I have Skittles set aside because I was like, why would you do candy? And I'm like, I might be able to make some money off of that.
Oh, there's ton of people selling that stuff.
Yeah. I did a bunch of lemons. So I went to, I had my husband go to, I forget what the store is, but he got a bunch of big lemons, and I cut those up and freeze dried those so I can throw them in water whenever I want. I still need to do more. What do I like? I don't know. A lot of things taste really delicious. Strawberries taste delicious. It seems like the flavor intensifies a little bit. So like if you had like a bland strawberry with limited flavor, it seems to be really good. Pineapple's good. Banana's good. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm trying to focus on making like soups and meals and stuff and freeze drying those in between trying to preserve things that I have to get done.
Yeah, there was a couple at the food summit. There was a couple places that had freeze dryers, and I'm like, you looking to sponsor anybody? Right? No, not with the freeze dryer. I said, oh, come on. Yeah, it didn't work. I didn't come home with a freeze dryer. Unfortunately. I did I got some fertilizer and some other stuff, but
we're making payments. And so at the time that we got it, my son had braces on. And so the last payment for his braces ended, and we got the freeze dryer, and the payments are actually less than the braces were. And so we're almost done paying that. I think we only have a couple more months left to pay on it because we try to pay a little extra if we can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you freeze dried berries being so good? Oh, I can see freeze dried. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm about to do some yogurt. I'm going to do some plain yogurt. And then I'm also going to do some yogurt and I'm going to throw some raspberries in it as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to do powdered berries as well. So you can add the powder like on a cake or on muffins or in a drink or a smoothie or
Flavor and coloring.
something. Ice cream, your yogurt, you know?
Yeah. I think, yeah. What type of fruit will you not freeze dry? Again, and why?
I haven't gotten to that yet. So far, so good. Yeah.
And you also dehydrate. I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. I do powdered eggs as well. I'm mixing up my eggs and freeze drying eggs and then putting it in Mylar bags or jars. So I have powdered eggs and I tasted it. I actually made other family members taste the scrambled eggs and they had no clue.
Oh, okay. I thought you put it a different way. You made them eat it.
Oh no, I rehydrated the powdered eggs, made scrambled eggs, and then I had them taste them without them knowing.
Okay.
And they thought they were good. I mean, it's So.
Question: are you going to make a website with all your info and recipes? And if so, will you sell anything on there?
I would like to. I'm still researching websites. Mostly it would be like things that I sew, like aprons and different things. So, and earrings and different things that I make because I make like farm animal earrings out of fake leather and stuff like that.
What's one of the biggest things that you've learned being a homesteader that was more of a shock than anything?
I like it.
So when you were searching for a home out in the country and stuff, you didn't think you would enjoy it as much as you do?
I don't know that I don't think I ever thought that way. It's always kind of been a goal of mine since I was a kid.
Or just liked it more than you thought you would?
Yeah, I think like it more than I thought I would, because a lot of the old timers that live around me, they always say, "Oh, they always come for a year or two and then they go. They can't handle it," and it's true.
Yeah,
they do. They come and they can't handle it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that make money off of that. They'll do little plots of land, and somebody will come in there are going to do the off-grid thing, and 6 months they're gone, and they get the land back and start all over again. Keep doing it.
Well, if they are coming from like an only city life, you've really got to have the mindset, because you can schedule your day out of what you want or need to get done, but then all of a sudden you've got to move a cow and you got to figure out how to move other cows. We had a cow that jumped, a little 1-year-old cow jumped over a 4-foot fence. And mind you, these are short cows. These are small cows. Went over like a horse. And we were like, oh my gosh. So we had to figure out how to get that cow out of that pasture and back to where it needed to go. But yeah, you always have things that you got to adjust. So you got your main schedules of who needs to be fed and let out and let in at the end of the day, and like maintenance things, and then you have the goals in between that, okay, I need to work on this and this and this and this here and there. So it's like busy. Like it's 7 days a week. I don't watch TV anymore. I don't watch movies. And I don't mind. I mean,
Well, that's like one channel. I don't even think they do YouTube anymore. I think they completely quit the whole thing. But they went out and they were both city folks, and he decided, well, I'm tired. I'm not going to let the chickens in. They'll be fine. Lost every one of the chickens because he didn't put them up just one night.
Yeah. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't be like, I'd like to have a farm. No, we've had so many people come to visit and they're like, oh my gosh, I would love to have all of this, but they don't even plant in pots. They don't mow their front yard. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe just visit. I don't know.
Well, here's another question. What's something that was a disaster and you learned something from it?
I don't know. I don't really think anything's really a disaster. It's more of a learning curve, an experience. So, I mean, so we had, when we first got our cows, we had one cow that we waited until she was 2 before we bred her. Well, she was still really small when she went to birth. Well, then she couldn't get the baby out.
Oh.
And I had a neighbor helping me, and we were trying to get the baby out, and we couldn't get the baby out. And we had to wait for the vet. Well, then when the vet came, they didn't know what they were doing and cut her not where she was supposed to be cut to take the baby out. So therefore the baby didn't survive because they waited too long to do what they needed to do. And so I had to make the call of what needed to happen, because I wasn't going to have a cow with this huge incision in the wrong place, stitch her up, and not know if she could ever have babies again, because she was a small cow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that happens, right? They didn't know what they were doing, which is weird.
Yeah. And then you still have to pay them.
Yeah. There's that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, not really anything horrible. I mean, you learn to do things better. Like, for the pig fencing, I had my idea of how I wanted the pig fencing, like what type of fencing I wanted for the pigs. Well, my husband had a different idea. Well, that became a problem because my idea was better.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of pig fences get, because pigs are strong. They'll get their nose up on there and they'll just lift it straight up.
Strong.
And
they're very strong. And
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, we had oh my gosh, our male pig, his name was Boris. He was a boar. And he was 600 pounds hanging weight.
Ooh.
And I could feed him by hand. But if he got out of that fencing and he's waddling around, oink, 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 oh my God. It's kind of intimidating, right? Because he's not in his area. But it was scary, but we got him back in. That was just once on our property. We've never had animals off our property. But we did decide that we don't like castrating piglets. The sound is horrible.
Oh, they're horrible just touching them or trying to pick them up.
Yeah, I love pigs though. And so we've talked about, because there's lard pigs where they're all fat there's pigs that are all meat, they're all muscle. And I like the Berkshire because it's a well marbled medium, just enough
A
fat
mixture of two.
marbled in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about finding the right type of pig that we want and just raise out a couple,
Mm-hmm.
and not breed them and sell. We started out selling runts, and that's when the babies are like 6 to 8 weeks old. You don't make no money on that. So we started raising them out, and we had lists, and people were buying, and they were going like crazy. But the whole fixing the males.
Yeah. I remember I got a and I didn't it was like a half acre, our whole property. And we actually had a mobile home on it that I built onto the mobile home. That's a whole other story, but let's get a pig. And I said, okay. And I said, well, we have to make a pen because it's not going to run around with like all the other animals. And my idea was, the first thing is, well, I can go to town and get a whole bunch of pallets. And then pig, when he got so old, he just lift those pallets up.
Their noses are like so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pigs do fly. When they're piglets and piglets get in the way, that mama will and the little piglet.
Yep. And when it was time to take him to the freezer camp, I didn't do it myself. I said, well, I'll take him to a place and have it done.
Yeah.
And he's always so nice in his pen and stuff. And when he got out, he came after me full force, and I was running like heck. And my dog, well, actually my son's dog, which his name was Dog, broke his chain and tackled that pig, being 4 times bigger than the dog. And he actually pinned him down. The dog pinned him down. I don't know how he did it, but he pinned him down. And me and my stepfather jumped on top of the pig. And this sounds bad and everything, but the only thing I could find was duct tape. Duct taped his mouth shut and his legs, and we winched him into the back of the truck. We thought, we'll get him to walk right up the plank to get in the back of the truck. No, as soon as we let him out, he was after us.
So one time the portable guy couldn't come, and so he dropped off it was a smaller trailer to load pigs, and he dropped it off for us to load and take to him.
Oh, that's good.
He was doing fair, and like he's like the only guy doing several counties. And anyways, somebody told us to give them beer, and it kind of makes them a little relaxed. It worked. It did work.
Well, that's something. Yeah, the next time we, because I went to the same place, got another pig. It wasn't a runt this time, and it was a big pig. I forget how much the weight of it was, but had a trailer, and this time I lined up pallets to where it goes into the back of the trailer. He still didn't want to go in, but a week before we started feeding him corn and stuff, and then 2 days, don't give him anything, and then we sprinkle a little bit of corn up in the trailer, and he went right up in there.
Right. That's what they say too. It's like if you have animals that have never loaded into a trailer, park the trailer to where they can inspect it for a while and throw their feed in the back of the trailer, so they'll eventually be like, okay, this is fine. But then you have to pay attention, hurry and close the door once they're in there.
Yeah. Yeah. But I want to thank you for coming up here for the interview and stuff. Yeah, it's an hour already.
Wow.
Let me see if I can find her channel.
I don't agree with the little rings in their noses because pigs are so rude.
No. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, feral hogs. I don't know about that. I remember, what was that one, the yeller dog and the wild pig came and chewed on his leg while he went up the tree. I forget what the Old Yeller was. It Old Yeller?
I think so.
I'm like, no wild pigs for me.
Okay, there, I found the link. If you guys head over to another time, she is live right after we get done here, and another interview. Not so much about channel, but how you grew up and stuff, which I was on that one not too long ago. Go over there and check it out, and I believe Taz is on there this week. Yep.
About his growing up in another time.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
And I've got a really good live setup for next Wednesday. Another interview of somebody that I met at the Food Summit, Food Independent Summit.
Cool to hear what they have to say.
Yep. And it's all about herbs and stuff.
Oh, that'll be cool. That'll be really cool. Yeah, well, thank you for the invite.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, have I interviewed her yet or not?
I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember. Like, when I first started, I never did a live for like quite a long time on my own, but I was always going on everybody else's.
Yeah, that's the way I was. And you need to start doing your own lives.
I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. It's boring. Yeah. And then I never shut up.
But thanks everybody for hanging out tonight. And other than the one I have set up for next Wednesday, I'll more than likely be live Friday at my normal time after Jan's live. And until next time, we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. YouTube, don't copyright this. I made it.